All righty. Okay, welcome. Hello. Hey, Shannon, good to see you.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good, living the dream.
Living the dream. All right, team, let's get going. Shannon, meet Mike. You guys haven't met before, but let's get started. I'm going to do a little introduction, and then we're going to get rip into it in this interview with Mike Bernstein and Shannon Stewart. So, team, a couple of things. First of all, I am coming to you from Australia. Mike and Shannon from the United States. I need you to go into the chat, right? Because we're going to be using the chat a bit today. So down the bottom it says chat. Open that up and just put in there hi from wherever you're from. Just hi from wherever. Detroit, Michigan. Thank you, Richard. Good to see you, man. Always good to see you. Sydney, we've got someone from Australia here. Cool. We don't do much in Australia these days. Washington State, Chris Porter. It's been a while since I've seen you, Chris. Caribbean, I love that. Need to go there. LA from Texas, from Florida. You can hear us great. Someone from the Philippines, cool. Kentucky, Utah, Seattle, Scott Crowling, good to see you here. Arkansas, Darren. We are all over. Sweden as well. Look at that. So we're global today. We even got people from Canada, Shannon and Mike. We are just everywhere. All right, team. So first of all, quick introductions. Thank you, team. What we're going to be doing is using the chat to interact with our two stars here, Shannon and Mike. Any question you've got, I'll be asking a series of questions, but any questions you've got, certainly pop them into the chat and I'll circle back to you. Just want to give you a quick little summary of what we're doing here. First of all, we coach accounting firms. That's what we do. We're really, really good at it. And just to give you a context of what you can expect and what you're going to hear live from Mike and Shannon. Typically, firms start about 1.5 million average with us, in sort of anywhere 1 to 3 million. Average profit was 406,000 when starting, and the in hours, which we're going to talk a lot about with Mike, 1,300 hours in. What we find is we get average 21% increase in revenue year one, average 98% profit increase in year one, and a reduction of time in year two of 20%. If you're interested in that, right, if you like all of that, just pop a yes in the chat to show that you are paying attention. Give me a yes. Yeah, all sounds good. Yes, of course, Kevin Bassett, we love it. Kevin, you're just a thirst for learning. All right, cool. Get you all interactive here. All righty, team. So I'm going to be monitoring the chat. You're going to be seeing myself and Shannon. Let me talk to you about myself, Shannon, Mike, sorry. The journey that all the firms that we coach are on. And we call this the profit time journey. It's all about increasing profit, reducing time dramatically, specifically time with clients to run a better business. When we find a firm, when we start working with them, they're typically a practice owner, a practitioner practicing their craft, typically grinding it out and working way too much in it. I know Mike's got a big story to tell about that one when we get to it. Working way too much in it, doing what the business does, on the tools with clients, running the admin of the firm, being the business, right? The practitioner practicing their craft. And the money's okay, but you don't have a huge amount of time. Don't have a huge amount of time to grow the business. Don't have a huge amount of time for yourself. When we meet you, we immediately flip the switch. And that is turn you into a business owner, and not just by mindset, but it's also by activity as well. And that activity is spending more time working on the business than in the business. So spending more time growing and developing the business than doing what the business does. And that's really cool because now the money improves and you have more time as well. But there's a third level. I know Mike's at business owner level, which we'll talk about, and Shannon is nearly at the next level, which is level 3, which we call investor level. And this is where, over time, you work yourself out of every single job that you do in the business. So you work yourself out of the admin job. You work yourself out of the marketing job, out of the sales job, out of the tax manager job, out of the client relationship job, and you end up with no job. Awesome, but you still have a business, and this is where you become an owner, but not an operator. And if you had a business that produces $1, $2, $3 million profit per year, and all you did was sit on the board and read KPI flash reports and keep the general manager or business manager or CEO in check, then why would you sell it? Here, we create generational wealth. And with these levels, you go as fast or as slow as you want, and you go to the level that you want, right? That you're comfortable with. There's no right or wrong answer here, but we do believe level 1, practice owner, well, that's a pathway to working too hard and not making enough money. You decide what level you get to. So with that in mind, let's meet our stars to interview today, Shanyn Stewart and Mike Bernstein. So let's have a chat with Shanyn and Mike, and we're going to learn all about what level you're at, where you came from, and hints and tips and anything else that comes through it. So first of all, let's start with a bit of background. And I'll start with you, Mike, because I've known you the longest. When I met you, so we're going to do what you looked like when we first met, and then fast forward to today. So, and then we'll get into the how and the detail after that. So, Mike, when we met in 2019, can you give us a profile of what the firm looked like? You know, team count, partners, revenue, profit, time, all that sort of stuff. A quick profile on what the firm looked like in 19 when we met.
Certainly. And I was kind of at the bottom of that practice level. So I was putting in over 3,000 hours a year. Of those hours, probably 100 were on, if I was lucky. Probably 2,500 probably client hours billing, and probably about 400 admin, if I had to estimate it. That's where I was at. Our profit at that time was 450 on 1.75 million. That was 2 owners at that time.
Wow.
We didn't measure AHR at all. We didn't do any MRR, very, very little. We did a little MRB, I call it billing, but we didn't collect about 40,000 a month on the MR billing. No bundled billing. We had approximately 2,000 individual clients. And I think at that time, maybe 13 employees or 12 employees, about 1,700 individual orphans, about 250 businesses, which had an individual attached to them, and about 700,000 worth of bookkeeping work. That's where we started out. And then,
so Mike, just pause, just understand.
Okay.
If you were doing 1.7 million in revenue and you were 20 something hundred hours chargeable yourself, essentially without you, there's no business.
Definitely.
Yeah. And we call this a sustainability index these days. Without you, there's no profit either, because you were doing more revenue than what the profit was.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I remember my goals when I joined, if you want to hear them.
Yeah, sure.
And so there was lower hours. I wanted lower hours. I wanted better systems. I wanted higher profit, although that was not the top thing I wanted. It was the lower hours. And I wanted to make the firm more sellable. Those were my goals when I started.
Awesome. Now, that's so many firms are like that. Some are beyond that, you know. But essentially, what you're saying is the sustainability index of the firm is close to, was negative. It's actually negative because if you take as an equation, and something for you to work out as well, audience, if you take partner billable revenue, right, as grossed up, because that's pretty much all profit, and then divide that into profit, that'll give you an index. So if you did, let's say 450 profit, Mike, and your billable was only 45,000, then you're going to be 90% sustainable. But if you are 600,000 billable and 450 profit, then you're going to be negative like 30, 40, 50%. All right, cool. That's where you were. Shanyn, give us an understanding when we met a couple of years ago, what the business looked like. Then we're going to get into both where you are now.
Yeah. So, you know, I've come a long way. So starting in 1996, doing taxes in front of people at my desk, right? Like all of us did. When we met, I was doing about $1 million. I had there was 3 of us, but I was the only tax professional on the team. And I was carrying the weight of it all. I was like Mike, I was working like 3,000 plus hours, and they were no on. It was all like, you know, client facing, getting stuff done. And it's a totally different world. I mean, I think about a year and a half into working with you, I think our goal was, I told Wendy, I'm like, look, I'm either going to blow this thing up trying to create my dream, or it's either going to work or it's not going to work. And, you know, I just kind of made a decision and started making radical changes over the last year and a half. And today, you know, we have 10 TOA team members. We have 2 stateside team members, and I'm probably going to hire 2 more stateside tax professionals to be team members. But I am basically, so today was my first day in the office since October 15th. And I basically been out of the country. I took a 3-week tour of Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and India, and I'm back today. And in the process, I've been launching a Lego business with my son. And so I am almost there. I am almost out of the mix.
All right. So both were in the grind, and certainly Shannon, with $1 million in revenue with just 3 of you, yeah, that's some pretty heavy. Sounds good revenue per full-time equivalent person, but like Mike, you're the one propping the whole show up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's what they used to look like. What you said your goals were, Mike, more time, essentially, more saleable business. What was the trigger for wanting to do something else? What was the, because we coach accounting firms mainly in the USA and Canada. You would have seen some of our marketing, but what was the trigger to say, I must do something else? Was there some sort of moment, or what was it?
It was when thinking about succession planning, and I wouldn't want someone in my firm to have to do what I was doing.
Okay.
And I didn't think it was as sellable if you go to a buyer and they've got to put in those hours. So both of those, I realized it wasn't going to be good to talk about it that way.
Awesome.
Or do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it because back in 19, you just said on the before chat, you're 65 now. So what's that? You're basically 60 or so. Thinking about succession planning.
I started at 59 with you, and I'm 65 now.
Got it. Cool.
Okay.
And Shannon, what was your trigger to say, I must do something different?
I actually was just turning 50, and my cardiologist came to me and said I had some major blockages in my heart. And I thought to myself, my grandfather was an entrepreneur who died at 54 at his desk, and people just replaced him. And so I thought to myself, I want to buy back my time. I want to make sure that whatever my life looks like in the years that I have, that I am enjoying every single moment of it. And I wanted to be free and just get that time back. And so that's, kind of what working with you has given me the ability to do, is basically I bought back my life.
Love it. So, team, the reason I raise a trigger, the accounting profession is a pretty rock solid business, right? No matter what you look like today, as far as statistics, numbers, grind, hours, whatever, you still make some good money, and you've got some busy seasons throughout the year, but it's not that hard in the scheme of things, right? And so for you to want to do something different, there's got to be some sort of reason why, whether it be a heart scare, whether it be an age, succession thing, or just the level of annoyance is so high, I have to change, right? So for Mike and Shannon, you've both had a trigger. Let's talk about now, right? So that's what it looked like. Mike, what does the business look like now? Give us a summary of what it looks like now.
Yeah, I'll go with some of the key items. So what was over 3,000 hours this year will be around 2,300, and the on hours will be somewhere between 600 and 750, depending how you measure admin versus on. And my other admin's 350, and billable will be around 1,200 hours.
So you've halved your billable time, basically.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Yeah, definitely.
Cool,
so that's the hours. And then the profit's gone, although my percentage profit has not been able to climb, but because the revenue has gone up, the profit's gone from 450 to 850 for the 2 owners in the years. And our revenue now will be a little over 3.8 million for 24.
Awesome.
We are monthly billing about 130,000 a month. We're collecting on that billing roughly 95,000 per month, every single month on one day of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot higher. We bundle bill every client that we get in the last 3 years. And so that's causing our AR to go down naturally, because that's automatically collected. The number of clients, the individual clients, 1040s. I know Rob wanted me to sell them all off, the orphans. Couldn't do it. Like them too much. So instead of 1,700, down about 1,200 orphans. And so I'm letting them go slowly but surely over time by pricing them out, or a natural selection of them leaving. The business returns have gone from 250 to 350 business returns, and accounting has gone from 700,000 to about 1.2 million. So me see if there's any other item that's really important that you should know. Our
Well, they're very
ARs,
sexy, they're very sexy numbers.
yeah. We started a marketing program 3.5 years ago, never had marketing for 30 years, as I think a lot of us firms joining you didn't have. And we also got a business manager about 2 years ago.
Love it, love it, love it. So we've taken the firm basically 2.5 times in size, grown the revenue, the profit. But for you, Mike, your initial goal was get your time back. I just want to, on definitions, by the way, team, there's a few definitions going on here that need to explain. Mike mentioned AHR, which is average hourly rate, which is margin or yield. MRR, monthly recurring revenue, which Mike says we've got to 95,000 in cash collected, which is a game changer. That pays a lot of the overhead. And then we're talking on and in. So working on time is growing, developing the business. In time is what the business does. So client work, firm admin, etc. So that's what Mike's talking about, in and on. So Mike, that's been a big change. How has that affected one of your goals on the saleability of the business or the succession?
Well, I think it's, first of all, it's less me, which is the way you need to sell a business. And I think that's made it much more attractive. The profit's higher. And as a lot of us know, accounting businesses are sold sometimes times gross, and purely growing it from 1.75 to 4 million in 5.5 years has made the value of it go up just by that.
How's your I know you're a big let's call it athlete, but you're into a lot of different things. How has your personal life changed as a result of this, either health or anything there personally?
Well, I really like compliance work, so it's hard for me to stop doing it. But as many people probably think in this group, but it's allowed me to be less stressed over the years. Each year, it's less stress to do the work I do. I don't view on work as stressful at all, to tell you the truth. Huh. So it's like not doing hours. My hours really have gone down to a lot less than 2,300, more like 1,500 or 1,400 hours in my book, because that's fun hours, the on hours. So less stressful, more fun, can concentrate on some of the things I like to do.
Cool. Love it. Shanyn, we're 2 years since meeting, but 1.5 years since working together, thereabouts. You said you wanted to blow the business up. You gave a quick summary before of, you mentioned TOA, which is the outsourced accountant, which is a labor resource in the Philippines. You've got 10 team members there. You've got 2 stateside plus yourself. And then I think you said you're hiring 2 more stateside. What does the revenue look like and the profit look like, and your personal hours now since after 2 years?
Right. So we started at about $1 million. We'll be doing about 3.8. And basically profitability looks really good. I mean, I'm bringing about 30% profitability to myself personally. I think that when we look at my hours, so really there's something shifted, like September to August, September, something shifted, and it like clicked for me. And when we go into, we've already booked out my time in 2025. I will have 300 client facing hours in 2025, and about a 96 to 120 on hours in 2025. As I said, like in this month, I've had, I mean, it's the 20th of the month tomorrow, and I've had 8 hours of client facing time this month. And and it's because of the team. The team has been so critical, and that is where the success really lies, is actually creating a team environment where we're providing a higher level of customer service. So I'm also meeting with a local accounting firm that wants to buy all of the 1040 clients. So those will be gone by 2025. That's a big step. It's a scary step, but I'm just like, if we're going to go where we need to go, we really have to make those changes. We're only working with business owners. Everyone goes into a package. Everyone goes into a monthly reoccurring billing type of cycle. And I get to do what I love, which is the consulting side and the marketing side, getting on podcasts, working on my TED Talk, those kind of things that's going to drive business into, drive sales, fill up that pipeline, and then let the team do the conversion and the service work.
Love it. Now, just to clarify, the 3.8 million, is that annualized recurring revenue, like 300 a month, 320 a month, or is that for the year going to be year to 2024?
So 2024, that's year to date, 3.8 million. Everyone, so we just finished this huge project of everyone has engagement letters that are going out December 1st. So we built in, everyone will have annualized or monthly billing. And also, we've also put perpetual kind of increases in that engagement letter so that we're not getting in that cycle of people are not paying, keeping up with the cost of inflation and things of that nature. So we're kind of building those things in.
Got it. Cool. Okay. And just to clarify the numbers here, Shanyn, 300 hours client facing 25, about 100 on hours. What about the rest of the year? What are you doing for the rest of the year? Is that like vacation or what are you doing? There's a lot of hours left.
Yeah, there are a lot. So basically, as you know, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. And so I belong to his mastermind. And that's basically going to be 2 weeks a month that I'm going to be going off and doing all of those things, like walking on fire and jumping off cliffs and things, just living life. And then, helping both of my kids start their entrepreneurial journeys as well. That's going to be my focus for 2025.
Love it. Cool. Okay. So both got growth. Both have got time reductions. We've got some questions coming up already, but we'll get to those in a tick. Give me some detail on what you've actually done to do this. So we've got the story of what it looked like and what it looks like now. What are some of the big chunks that you've done to make these changes? Mike, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I definitely made some notes on that, the action plan. And, we look at, hey, Kevin, I know you're here. Hello, Kevin Bassett and Shanyn. They are stars and they've accelerated so quickly. And then there's Mike, who kind of trods along slowly and gets there eventually. And I know a lot of you don't get discouraged if you can't be the Kevin or the Shanyn. I couldn't, but I'm moving in the right direction. Every year has to be better than the year before is the goal. So number one, raise prices. My prices were too low. That was the very beginning, way too low, 10 to 20% 2 years in a row, then backed it off a little bit after that. Number two, hired CEC, and now we have about 3 CECs.
So team, that's client excellence coordinator, essentially administrative team members for the accounting team to take all the admin work away from the accounting team. And we have a whole process around how we do that. So we'll hide those, Mike. Yep.
Started measuring things. We weren't measuring AHR. We weren't measuring those things. It took us at least a year just to figure out how to do it right in our business and measure those things. And then took those lists, showed them low to high, took the last 50 on there or 40 and started working on those, get rid of them or get them higher and reevaluating that every quarter. That's AHR. Wrote 2 books. Rob made me. Fixed our website. Very important. Have the website looking good. Started a marketing program, game changer. Bundle everything. Last 3 years, ever since we did the marketing, that's a game changer because we put unlimited questions and tax planning required by our clients in the bundle. Otherwise, we won't take the engagement. Emails now handled, thank you, Kevin Bassett, by mostly somebody else. My email time went way down. I don't make my own appointments, and I don't take unscheduled calls for Rob's instructions. So all those things have helped just de-stress and help.
What about you said you hired a business manager as well, Mark, the last couple of years. What's happened there?
David Green was hired about in the beginning of January 2023. It was a big step if anyone's taken that step, because you're hiring someone who isn't immediately giving revenue and is part of your taking away your profit, but it needs to be done. They're going to handle a lot of those administrative things that you're doing and that you shouldn't be doing, and other team members that shouldn't be doing. So that was really good, and it takes a little time to get used to that, but I wouldn't go back. Wouldn't go back.
Love it. We're going to unpack the marketing piece in a minute. Shanyn, what have been the big chunks that you've done? Because and there's no right or wrong answer here, team, as to speed, right? You can go in a very disciplined approach like Mike does, measures everything down, very systematic approach, not the fastest, but definitely gets there. Or Shanyn says, I'm going to blow this thing up and just go for it, right? So it's a completely different style, and it needs to be your style and speed. Shanyn, what are the big chunks that you've put in place so far?
Yeah, I think one of the things of blowing it up was the fact that I was burned out, and I just was like, I'm either just going to shut this down or I'm just going to go for it. And I think one of the things was There was a book that I read by Dan Sullivan. So Dan Sullivan has a book called Who Not How. And in that book, he talks about oftentimes as business owners, we think, how am I going to do that? Where we really need to reframe the question to be, who is going to do that? So I systematically, my background was an executive with General Electric years ago, and looking at the processes and the systems of everything that happened in the business, and then deciding who was our who that's going to actually do the task, because it wasn't going to be Shannon any longer. And so that was the biggest thing, is documenting all of our processes, documenting every role. And then as the team members were hired, we started with what we call client concierge, or CECs. So our client concierge were hired. And then I had them actually, I trained them on what the role was, but then I allowed them to build out the SOPs and the processes, because they know that they can do the job better than I can do. So that was a huge piece of it. And so every single team member has an SOP that they've created themselves. And, you know, they are responsible for documenting and creating the process. I do spend time, though, building the team and creating an environment where leadership and communication is really important, but then empowering them to actually be able to do their role and have ownership of it. And so that's been huge. Then we fired people, right? Like we fired those people that we're always afraid to get rid of. You know, the rule of 80-20, 20% of our pains actually create 80% of the work. So we identified the 80-20 and we got rid of them. And then we raised our fees. In fact, I am pretty aggressive in raising fees, because I know I'm talking to other tax professionals, but I mean, I think that we are worth our weight in gold. And I think that oftentimes we don't value ourselves high enough. And I think that there's so many accounting professionals that devalue themselves with the fees that they charge. And if they raise their fees, their clients would pay them. They're going to pay them, because there's no other place for them to go.
What percentage? Mike said it was about 20% for the first couple of years and backed it off. What's the difference 2 years later on like for like service for you, Shannon?
I mean, our average client was paying about $3,800 for a package of like a personal return, a corporate return, that type of thing, and consultation. Today, we're more about $18,000.
For bigger clients, same service, what's the...
That's our entry point. Like if you can't pay that fee, then you don't become our client.
And so with that, we'll get on to where you both find clients in a moment. With that, what are they getting for the 18,000?
So they're getting their corporate returns, their personal returns. They're getting a quarterly meeting. It used to be with me, but then I hired a business strategist who's not even a tax professional, because I noticed that most of the times when we were actually doing these meetings for consultation, it wasn't about tax. It was about things like marketing and problem solving. And so it really was a business strategist that they needed to speak to. Then we also have something called office hours. We just started implementing. So the business strategist actually gets on and has open office hours where clients can actually submit their questions prior to the call. And we talk about topics, a different topic every month. And so it could be real estate, it could be crypto, it could be different things. And it's an education and then a Q&A. It's a webinar, and then they get access to that on the member portal.
Let's talk about team. Shannon, you're 100% virtual business, like you don't have an office anymore, is that correct?
It's almost gone. At the end of the year, it will probably be gone. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And Mike's got, I've been to Mike's office a few times. Mike's got a physical presence. With the environment of your people, I want to get into what they do, because this is all about time and money, right? So increase profit, reduce time. With your team members, Shannon, what are they actually doing? You know, so you've got the business strategist, which is the catch-up person. Now, what about the tax manager jobs and the doing of the work job? Where are they located and what are they doing?
So the team is at TOA. So we have team members also in Manila and then also in Cebu. And the reason being that if Manila gets hit by a typhoon, we've got Cebu to back them up. So our client concierge are our admins. They're responsible for anything that happens, including small tax questions. So they've all gone through the tax training so that they have a base of knowledge from that standpoint. Our tax preparers are Philippine CPAs. So they're at TOA as well. I have a fulfillment manager at TOA who makes sure the work gets done for each of the clients, and she manages the team and makes sure that if a request comes in from a client that we're meeting our expectations of the deadline of 24-hour response time. So bookkeeping is also at TOA. Everything is in the Philippines.
What do the two stateside team members do?
So one of them is the business strategist.
Yep.
And the other one is runs basically the office, which is going away.
And what happens to that person?
We're going to help transition her to a role at another firm.
Awesome. Love it. Cool. So you've built a virtual firm, but just so, the whole offshoring, because you've got outsourcing and offshoring. I don't want to get our definitions right here. Team, outsourcing is typically when you're sending jobs to think of a call center for accountants, often India or the Philippines, do the work, it comes back and you check it. Offshoring is where, exactly what Shannon's done, she's set up her own team who just work for her under her systems. She's had them write their own SOPs, office procedures, and they are doing, just to clarify, Shannon, in the Philippines, they're doing all of the tax work, all of the CPA work, all of the bookkeeping work.
That is correct. And so when we say like the team, they have a team huddle every day. I pop in twice a week to be on the team huddle for 10 or 15 minutes. There is training, like they're no different than an onshore employee. They are the team. And honestly, I think I have the best team around. I tell them that all the time. In fact, I told them I was doing this call today, and the fact that they are the reason we're successful.
Love it. Cool. Mike, talk about team, talk about your client excellence coordinators, what Shannon calls concierge, business manager roles, what your team does, stateside or otherwise. Give us a summary on the team.
We have 3 offshore, 2 doing bookkeeping work and 1 doing marketing in the Philippines. We have another 2 virtual people in the US doing work for us, and there's probably 3 to 4 that are part virtual. So we've gone to that a little bit, the virtual work. We've been able to stay in the same size office from 1.75 to 3.8 million. So that percentage of rent is shrinking quickly over the years. And that's because of the type of clients we're taking on are much higher margin. Like Shannon, we started out with maybe our average client was 3,000 to 7,000 a year for their bundle, might include a corporate, personal, and some bookkeeping. And now the average for the last 3 years has been about 13,500 per bundle, and some as high as 30 or 40,000, and some lower. Any case, we have about 19 total full-time equivalents. The 3 CECs, we hired recently the 3rd one, and we're probably behind. We probably need a 4th one soon, based on the ratios, Rob, that you've talked about in the past. Let's see, what else would you like to know about the team? The business manager. He has now taken HR completely off our hands, which is wonderful, except for some reviews, a few here and there. And he's also, the medical area of HR and other hiring or ranging being hired, and just everything with HR, and then other admin areas that we were handling, insurance and other things. Now, we also are planning to hire, matter of fact, right now, we're hiring another high-level accountant. And we finally, I think this time around, mastered how to write the application or the request for it. Because we've been using something like Indeed or something like that. I know there's lots of ways to market to get people. And I think we finally figured out the little recipe to get the right people applying, because now we're getting out of 7 resumes at a time, 2 or 3 qualify, where we get 50 before, and maybe 3 would be good. So that's
Mike,
good.
Just on that, there's a lot of, let's call it whinging and whining from accountants that we can't find enough great people, right?
We've mishired a couple times. Yep.
We all do, right?
Yeah.
That's cool business. Are you finding a shortage of people, or have you got plenty of, as you need people, plenty coming through the door for applications? Where are you at with that?
I think the struggle is, if you're willing to go virtual, there's going to be enough. There's going to be enough, because we're getting resumes. It's just someone might be too far away. right? So if we want someone to be coming in at least part-time or full-time in the office, it's going to narrow it greatly. And that is a problem, which we're finding. Now we think we have somebody now to come in, but the bottom line is we'll give them 100% virtual or at least part-time virtual, better chance. We're also narrowing our requirement in the request for the resume. We now say you've got to be this, and this. Otherwise, basically, don't send it to us.
Mhm.
Don't bother. We've narrowed it down to things we have to have, whereas before it was way too general, getting way too many resumes.
Love that. Shannon, what about you on finding people? Is it a problem? Are you getting plenty of coming through the door? Where are you at with that?
So currently we're looking for 2 stateside tax professionals, CPAs or EAs. We've had about 800 applications in the last 3 months. I just kind of like what Mike said. I think that I was too general in what I was actually looking for, and we've narrowed it down. And we've narrowed the scope of what they're actually going to be doing, because remember, all of my fulfillment is actually done through the TOA team. So this new individual just will be meeting with clients and reviewing tax returns, and that will be their scope, from that standpoint. So I think getting very specific in what you want, I think there's lots of qualified people out there. I think it's just, again, they're going to be 100% virtual with me, and we have work-life balance. So I don't want them to be like me, 50 years old and realizing that you have a heart issue. I want them to have a nice work-life balance and life as well. So that's really important to our team dynamics. And that's the same way with our TOA team. They get Fridays off. They get all of the same things that all of the other team members here on the state side would get as well.
Love it. Just as we wrap up on people and training, Julie's asked a question: how did you train, or did you have all of your processes set up, or did you do it as you got out of production? So basically, how did you train people to do whatever job it is that you've been able to delegate to them? Shannon?
So one of the things, we use Loom. So because it was me to begin with, I would actually create Loom videos. When I would do something, we'd be on a training like we're talking right now. We'd be on a training, we'd open up the Loom, we'd record it on Zoom as well, and I would teach it the first time. And then we would send it through AI to have a transcript and actually an SOP. But then I would give it over to the team member and say, this is the way I did it. It doesn't mean that it's 100% correct. And you might find a better way to actually optimize your process. And so I give you ownership, and the only thing I ask is that as you update the SOPs and keep them in our database. And so it took time. I mean, full transparency, it took time. It took 6 months to really get everything documented. And we're still, like with our tax dome implementation, we're still learning and growing. And this is a fluid process, because as they grow as individuals, several of them have changed roles. And so the new person coming in has the ownership to change the SOP as well.
Cool. Mike, how did you do on the training piece? What did you use? We've used Loom. Julie's asked a question: did you use what AI did you turn Loom into SOPs? Just Shannon's put a bow on that one. Any AI to do that?
I use AI on for creating SOPs and checklists, and so in processes, because once you like if you upload the transcript out of Loom into like ChatGPT, it can actually refine the process for you.
Got it. Mike, training the people to alleviate your time and job, how did you do that?
So we have 2 levels of training, actually 3. The 2 I'm involved in, we have a team meeting once a week. And at the end of the team meeting, I will keep all the technical people on and do a half-hour training. And it'll be on a tax or accounting or whatever it's going to be on. So we end up having probably 40 to 45 a year. And those are usually recorded now on Zoom, because we do them on Zoom, and they can be played for other people, played for people. And then I have a higher level education that I do with, let's say, the top 4 people, let's say, who deal with more complicated items. And I have that several times a month, and have a half-hour session on more complicated tax education items. And that's how I disseminate the way I want it done, the way I think it should be done, and everyone's getting the same information. Then there's education done, not from me, but let's say from the next level down to the others. And that's done normally on a one-on-one basis as needed, because everyone's at a different place.
Got it. Let's move on to clients and growth. I know, Shannon, you're on the clock. We've got about 15 minutes left with you. First question on clients on the $18,000 piece, Shannon, and yours, 13,000, Mike. What size of client are they in their revenue or profitability?
So most of them are about I would say about $2 million in top line revenue.
And Mike, for yours?
They're an average of 2 to 4 million gross, I would say.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah. Construction
And
industry.
yeah, so we're about to get on the clients and where they're from as well. So Mike, previously, were they any size of business before you decided to focus on a bit higher clients, or what were they?
We took way too many clients who were grossing a couple $100,000 a year.
Got it.
They're just way too many. And that was, too many BBs jumping around in the jar, hitting each other. Couldn't move.
And Shannon, previously on clients, was it like a whole range or?
Yeah, like if you could fog a mirror, we would take you.
Yeah, credit card worked and your mirror test. Got it. Okay, cool. So we've certainly gone a little bit higher level. Let's talk about growth. Let's talk about how you are growing. You know, Shannon, you've had some explosive growth. Mike, yours has been sort of about 15, 20% per year. How are you actually growing the business? Shannon, start with you.
So I do a lot of podcasting as a guest. I do a lot of public speaking. I've made connections with other people who have tribes, and I become the tax expert. And so my goal is to get into those tribes and be the person that's referred all of their members to.
Got it. Cool. So you're seeking out these speaking engagements, or they're just coming to you? How are you finding them?
You know, a lot of times they're coming to me, but just because I put myself out there. I mean, I actually say, when someone says to me, how can I help you? I actually tell them, I'm looking for speaking engagements. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. Or I've actually reached out to some people that I know that I wouldn't have never probably approached, that have larger audiences and tribes, because I work in the e-commerce space. And so that is my niche. And so I'm looking for those kinds of engagements. And so I've just actually gone out and asked for them.
And Mike, how are you growing? I know you're targeting construction companies a few years back. What's been your methodology for that?
We've stayed with that. We started about 3.5 years ago. We first made sure our website was in order. It's very important to have that first, because I would say when I ask prospects if they've gone to our website to look at it, probably 50% of them had gone. So, and if they don't like that, they're not going to come on the meeting. But we started with 3 arms: direct call, LinkedIn, email. I hired someone to direct call. We hired a Philippines person to do LinkedIn to act like Nancy and myself. They were acting like us and sending contacts out. And the third was Sapper Consulting, who was guaranteeing 5 qualified leads per month. So I didn't have to do any of the marketing. They were actually put into our Outlook as a qualified lead. And we gave them the stats, 1 million to 20 million, construction industry. We gave them different parts of the industry, no startup, et cetera, et cetera. And so we have over 3 years, and I said, I'm not taking anything but 8 clients. So if they're not big enough, we're not taking them. If there's a startup, we're not taking them. We're only taking them if they fit. So we only want 2 clients a month. That's all I want. I want to be able to have the right capacity to be able to service them. I don't want to get 20 or 30 new clients per month. I won't be able to handle it. So 2 clients at around 10 to 30,000 a year per month, grow 200, 300,000 per year on gross revenue on marketing. It costs us about 100,000 a year to do all that, because we have a half-time marketing manager employee. The Sapper is about $2,250 a month. LinkedIn is the cost of the person in the Philippines. I think it's around $1,600, $1,500 a month or something like that. And there was a direct caller we were paying wages to. The direct caller eventually dropped off because direct calling has gone out the window. That was about 1.5 years ago or so. And so we're just with the LinkedIn and Sapper. And so we have, I had the business manager tell me in the last 3 years, we brought in 1.15 million of new business through our marketing program. Now, it wasn't all through those 3 arms. Some was referral. And by the way, some of the referrals are from some of the new clients, because the problem with my business was, and some of you may have that out there, is I wasn't getting enough referral of A clients from the clients I had. So I need to get new A clients so I can get referrals of no more A clients. And that started happening after the first 1.5 years of marketing. Questions?
So you're spending about 100 a year, but you're getting back 300 gross, thereabouts. and they stay for the next 10, 15 years, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And even if you take out the referrals and we're not going 3-to-1, maybe we're going to 1-to-1 or maybe 2-to-1, still there's, they stay. That's works just fine.
Question, what is Zapper? It's actually Sapper, Gretchen. They're a direct response marketing company. There's lots of companies out there that will do pay per lead, pay per inquiry, pay per booking, or agencies to get you leads. But first of all, you need to know exactly what you're looking for. In Mike's case, 1 to 10 million, 1 to 20 construction. Shannon's case, e-commerce. Shannon, I know you've got to go in about 5 minutes. So I want you to talk about the journey that you're on and the future of what the business looks like. You mentioned, as I put that investor level slide up, because I know every time I've shown you that, you get excited about it. What does the next 5 years look like for you, Shannon?
So I think that my goal is that the business continues to grow, and we continue to grow the team, and it's team focused. And actually, we work into a place where the team is actually getting. I mean, they already get a piece of the profit. They already everyone gets a piece of the bottom line. But the whole thing that's been jazzing me is building the team and helping individuals really step into their destinies and things that they love. Like, people should do what they love. I didn't love what I was doing. Like, doing a tax return and working till 11 o'clock at night wasn't what I was loving what I would do. So just being able to continue to work with what I do, doing the public speaking and the marketing piece of it, and then empowering team members to actually step into the roles that they love, and then making sure that everyone is so fairly compensated that no one wants to go anywhere. And I think that's where I'm heading. I would love to see us be, 5 to 7 million. I think that there's no reason why we can't be that. I think that there's no reason why I need to work more than 500 hours a year at all. And I think that there's no reason why I can't have at least $1 million of profit flow to me. And so that's kind of where we're going. That's the goal. So we're almost there.
I'd say another couple of years and you'll be there for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Just to wrap up, because I've got 3 more minutes with you, Shannon. What recommendations would you give to firms that are looking to change, wanting to change, looking for some outside help, working with us, etc.? What recommendations would you give?
Well, I think one of the things that's been so important to my career, and as I said, I started in 1996, I've always had a business coach, always. If you don't have a business coach, really, first of all, being an entrepreneur, because you're a business owner, but you're an entrepreneur. And if you are an entrepreneur, it can be a lonely island. And sometimes you don't have the network to actually bounce your ideas off of. And so having a business coach is the number one thing I think has always changed anything I've ever done in any of my businesses. I also think that, again, deciding on what a team looks like and hire someone before you can and afford them, because oftentimes if money is your only obstacle, you really don't have an obstacle, because by hiring team members, you're going to actually be able to get that $30 an hour work off your plate and be able to focus on that $1,000 or $5,000 work. So those are the things that I would recommend to anyone I speak to.
Awesome. Shannon, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Got you with 2 minutes to spare. I know you've got a hard stop. Have fun. Looking forward to seeing you next month, or this month, whatever it is. I'm not sure what we're doing. And also seeing you stateside in January. So Shannon, all the best. Go and kick some butt. Bring the year home strong. See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Shannon. Mike, let's wrap up with you. What does the next 5 years look like? And recommendations for people that may be looking to change?
Well, every year I thought I was going to retire or try and retire. I feel like I'm more motivated to stay longer because of the growth of the business. It's more exciting, and it's less work because it's more exciting. So I, like Shannon, I am happy to try and double it again in 5 years. Now, I might be fully retired by then and pass it on completely, sell it to the next succession group in our office. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to stay involved and try and help make that happen, first of all. Do you mind if I answer one of the questions in the Q&A?
Yeah, sure. Go for it. Yeah.
Someone asked, I'm starting out, should I take any 1040s or something like that? That's a great question, because if someone would have told me different 30 years ago, I would be in a different place right now. So should I take on 1040 at all or start marketing directly to corporate only? How do you feel about specializing niching now down? Well, I don't love getting a niche immediately, because if you're in one niche and that's all you have ever, I'm a little concerned that that niche might go by the wayside for some reason. AI, something causes it, and you've lost the whole business. So I was more of a generalist, and I'm going to a niche now, which is only so much of my business. So I really think we should kind of spread out a little bit, my own opinion. But yes, 1040s, but try and take them related to a business. Try and hold steady as long as you can, because I believe those 1040 orphans are going to be gone anyways in 5 or 10 years. That AI is going to take them away. They're going to file with the IRS directly or something like that. So we don't want to set our business up for failure to begin with. Anyways, that's the answer to that question.
Yep.
So stick with that. I just want to maybe cover a couple other, game changers I think that people just have to remember, just have to really do. First of all, Rob says, pick a couple of things each quarter and get them done, move them aside and tackle other items. We all know that they raise their head again. You tackle it and somehow it circles back and kicks you in the bottom again. Don't worry, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So revisit it and put it back on the list and tackle it again. Probably 80% of the firms go through that. Maybe 20 are lucky and they can, shoot to the top right away. Bundle billing. The more people I talk to, the more when they see it, when other accountants see what I do, they said, I can't believe it. And it's worked out so well, because I don't bill when someone calls me. It's in unlimited questions. I'll bill in the engagement. I'll bill from anywhere from $900 to $3,600 a year for unlimited questions. If they don't want to pay that, then I don't want them as a client. They can call as often as they like. Once in a while, someone calls a lot, but usually it's under that amount. Now I encourage them to call. I don't have to worry about keeping track of it. Okay. Same with tax planning. Get that bundled billing in, give them the pieces once a month. That's great. So besides that, the point is, pick a couple things each quarter and do try and get them done. Even if you only get one, try and stick with it. And oftentimes, I know, for instance, bundle billing, what we wanted to do is all new clients should be on a bundle, and go back and get all your old clients and sell them a bundle. Well, that's easy to say, a lot harder to do. So we were able to say, okay, from here forward, 3.5 years ago, everybody's on bundle, who's new. And then the old clients, we were able to get probably 40% of them to move over to the bundle. And 60% you can't get them there. All right, well, fine. The more new ones you get, the old ones drop off. Eventually, you're going to get there. So don't feel you have to do everything 100%. Get going on it. Get started on each one of the items. Get started on the marketing. Get started on the book. Get started on someone doing your emails. Right?
Just get started.
Just get started. Yeah, just got to start.
Hey, just on the book, what are the two books for the titles again, for the two books?
The first one is the one you said I shouldn't write. I liked it. It's practical planning, financial planning for individuals, which doesn't really bring in the revenue sort of thing. It doesn't, people don't, look at it the same way, but I'm passionate about that. The other was apartment complex development, because in the construction industry. So both were, I did them through a company that you suggested, I think in Australia. And they took maybe probably 15 to 25 hours total to write and edit, and they helped me do it. And again, they're not bestsellers, but people see they're on my website. The clients, they're coming to us, see that it's there. They know that we're experts in those areas because of that.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So it's interesting, Mike, that now you've got more energy because of what you've been doing, the whole business development thing, to keep this rolling for as long as you want. I love it.
I do. And I'm not necessarily interested in being at the top level, because I don't want to just not do any of the work or be involved. So this is perfect, but it needs to get better. It needs to keep moving each year, get a little better.
And I think that's the key here, Mike. It's got to be right for you. When we help accounting firms, where they do, to answer one of your questions, Judith, only CAS as well, client accounting services. Yes, we do that. Not just CPAs, because you're an EA firm, Mike, right? So
yes.
So not just CPAs, but EA firms as well. It's got to be, your goals as to what you want. Shanyn wants to create an investor model business that works without her, and she loves the marketing piece, which is awesome. You have taken a more disciplined, considered approach and slower approach, but that's right for you as well. So it's got to be right for you. But what I love is that you've freed up your time more. You've got more energy. You're making more money. What's not to like about all that? It's all good. It's all good. And Mike, now that you've been around us for a bit, what would be recommendations to other firms? Like Shanyn says, everyone needs a coach. She's had a coach for years. What are your thoughts on that?
I had to pick one or two things. CECs, number one. You need to stop having your technical people contact clients for information. They need to have all the information in front of them. So don't be afraid to get those CECs and getting them working, because once you get one and you understand how it works, and that's where you need to go. The other is, I would encourage people to start the marketing. It is really hard. It's like, as Nancy once said, nailing Jell-O to the wall, because it slips out and you got to change it, and you waste money and you got to do this and do that, but you eventually get into a nice groove, and you're going to get the clients you want. You get to pick them. You get to pick them versus who's coming to you otherwise. And last is, I highly would recommend printing the culture list that Rob, make it your own, change his culture list. He'll describe it to you in a moment, and put it up in your office, and then abide by it. You abide by it and try and make everyone else abide by it. It's very easy to help the culture improve in your office by saying those things in a meeting and showing everybody what they are.
Love it. Question on CECs. Do you have CECs do the data entry?
No data entry for us. And for us, they don't even make sure all the tax documents in, because they're not tax people. They collect it, and then if something's missing, request go back to CEC to go get it from the client. So they're like a go-between, but they get, over time, they learn what's needed, and they're very efficient and effective.
Still a question on CECs as we start to wrap up here, Mike. How do you train CECs up to understand what they're asking for the client and able to answer simple tax and accounting questions? Or are you hiring fully qualified people?
I do not have the CECs answer any tax or technical question. They'll just get them into trouble. They have to relay that to a person who's qualified to answer it. The CECs, in terms of training, methodology, SOP, if you give them how it needs to get done, what they're retrieving from whom, they'll get used to it, they'll like it, they'll get in routines, and it will work just fine.
Love it. Cool. Hey, Mike, this is awesome. We want to do this for a couple of years. Just to wrap this up, because we're conscious of the next couple of minutes, team, what we do is basically what Mike and Shannon have achieved. We help you make more money and help you get more time. We call it profit time, all right? We have measurements around this called profit time index. We have systems around this. We have process around this. We have, SOPs. We have templates and documents and training and all, the whole process on actually how you do that, build a better accounting business. Right now, we work with firms $1 million plus in revenue, 1 to 5 partners, and you must be ambitious and coachable. And you need to be ready now, right? So we have a quick meeting with you to see where you're at. We call it a suitability interview to see if you're suitable for us and we're suitable for you. We don't take on all. We only work with a maximum of 64 firms any given year. And if that's of interest to you, I'm going to put a meeting thing in the chat to have first meeting. If that's of interest to you, click on the link and schedule a meeting, and we'll see if we can help. Mike, this has been a blast. Thank you so much. Keep pushing on. I'm looking forward to the next 5 years. And bringing, of course, now that we're in November, bringing the year home strong. See you, man.
Great to see you.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.